The sound of bone meeting marble. That's what 62 people heard in Bellissimo's dining room on a Tuesday night in November. Carolyn Bennett was 7 months pregnant, celebrating her anniversary, wearing the cream-colored dress her husband had picked out that morning, the one he said made her look presentable. She didn't know this would be the last time she'd sit across from him as his wife. Didn't know that in 90 seconds her face would hit that table. Hard enough to draw blood. Hard enough that strangers would gasp. What she definitely didn't know, that the young waiter refilling water glasses was an MMA fighter. That his one perfect punch would knock her millionaire husband unconscious on the restaurant floor. That 3 cell phones would capture everything. That by morning, 500,000 people would watch her worst moment go viral. But here's what no one knew. Not the reporters, not the jury, not even Caroline herself. That this wasn't the end of her story. It was the beginning. This is the story of how a woman with nothing but a baby on the way took down a man who thought money made him untouchable. How she turned the worst night of her life into a movement. How she learned that sometimes the prison door was unlocked all along. She just needed to believe she deserved to walk through it. Stay with me, because what happens next will surprise you, enrage you, and maybe, just maybe, give you hope. The sound of bone meeting marble echoed through Bellissimo's dining room like a gunshot. Carolyn Bennett's head snapped sideways. Her cheek struck the table, hard. The white tablecloth bloomed red beneath her face. Around her, the restaurant fell silent. Forks clattered against plates. Someone gasped. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The baby kicked once, twice. Carrie's hand moved to her belly. 7 months pregnant. Her daughter. Safe. Please be safe. You embarrassed me. Grant's voice cut through the silence. Cold, controlled. You always embarrass me. Carrie tasted copper, blood in her mouth. She tried to push herself up. Her arms shook. The room tilted. Faces stared at her. Dozens of them. All frozen. All watching. Grant stood over her. His 6-foot frame blocked the chandelier light. His fist still clenched at his side. The 35-year-old tech millionaire. Her husband. The man she'd loved, or thought she'd loved. Get up, his hand gripped her arm, fingers digging into the bruises already there. We're leaving, now. The floor beneath her feet felt unstable. Her heel caught on the chair leg. She stumbled. Grant's grip tightened, pain shot up her arm. Sir? A new voice, calm, steady. I need you to step back from her. Derek Hayes moved through the crowd, 27 years old, waiter's uniform, black vest, white shirt. But his stance said something else. Fighter. The way he balanced on the balls of his feet, the way his hands stayed loose at his sides. Do you know who I am? Grant turned, his face flushed. Do you have any idea who you're talking to? I know what I see. Derek positioned himself between Grant and Carrie. And I see a man who needs to step back. Tom Rivera, the restaurant manager, finally unfroze. He rushed forward, his phone already in his hand. I'm calling 911. You'll do no such thing. Grant's voice rose. This is between me and my wife. Not anymore. Derek's voice stayed level. Ma'am, are you hurt? Is the baby okay? Carrie touched her face. Her fingers came away red. She looked down. Her cream-colored dress. The one Grant had picked out this morning. The one he'd said made her look presentable. Blood spotted the silk. I'm okay. Her voice cracked. The baby's moving. Grant lunged toward her again. His hand reached past Derek. Derek moved faster. One punch, clean, precise, perfect form. His fist connected with Grant's jaw. The sound echoed, sharp, final. Grant's eyes rolled back. His knees buckled. He collapsed. His expensive suit crumpled as he hit the floor. Unconscious. The silence shattered. Everyone spoke at once. Phones appeared. Camera flashes lit the room. Someone was recording. Multiple people were recording. Carrie stared at her husband's body on the floor. She should feel something. Horror, concern, guilt. Instead, she felt relief, just for a moment, just for one breath. Relief that he couldn't hurt her right now. Derek knelt beside her. What's your name? How far along are you? Caroline, Carrie. She couldn't stop shaking. 7 months. Okay, Carrie, I'm Derek. Can you sit down? Right here. He guided her to a chair, away from Grant, away from the blood on the table. The ambulance is coming. Tom stood over Grant's body, his face pale. Is he breathing? He's breathing. Derek kept his eyes on Carrie. Ma'am, did he hurt the baby? Are you having any pain in your stomach? She pressed both hands to her belly. The baby kicked again. Strong, angry maybe, or scared. She's moving. I think she's okay. Sirens wailed outside, getting closer. Red and blue lights flashed through the restaurant windows. The front door burst open. 2 paramedics rushed in. A police officer followed. Officer James Russell, 40-ish, wedding ring, tired eyes that had seen too much. Who needs medical attention? The first paramedic scanned the room. Pregnant woman, head injury, possible assault. Derek stepped back to give them room. And him. He pointed to Grant. Unconscious, maybe 30 seconds. The paramedics split up. One moved to Carrie, the other to Grant. Officer Russell pulled out a notepad. Ma'am, I'm Officer Russell. Can you tell me what happened? Carrie opened her mouth, closed it. What could she say? Where would she even start? Grant groaned, his eyes fluttered. He tried to sit up. The paramedic pressed him back down. Sir, stay still. You've been unconscious. What? Grant's hand went to his jaw. That man attacked me. Arrest him. Officer Russell's expression didn't change. I'll be taking statements from everyone. Let's get you both checked out first. The paramedic examining Carrie shined a light in her eyes. Any dizziness, nausea, blurred vision? A little dizzy. Carrie's head throbbed. My face hurts. I can see why. The paramedic's voice softened. You're going to have significant bruising. I want to check the baby. Do you consent to transport to Memorial Hospital? Yes. The word came out as a whisper. That's not necessary. Grant pushed the other paramedic away. He stood, swayed slightly. Caroline, we're going home. She's going to the hospital. Derek's voice cut through. She's injured. The baby needs to be checked. You, Grant pointed at Derek, his face twisted. You're fired. I'm calling the owner. You'll never work in this city again. Worth it. Derek crossed his arms. The restaurant door opened again. A woman rushed in. 60-something. Diamonds at her throat. Perfectly styled silver hair. Victoria Mitchell. Grant's mother. Grant, darling, I got your text. What on earth? She stopped, took in the scene, blood on the table, her son's split lip, Carrie's swelling face. Oh no, not again. Not again. The words hung in the air. Everyone heard them. Officer Russell's head snapped up. He looked at Victoria, then at Carrie. Ma'am. Russell approached Carrie, his voice gentle. Has this happened before? Carrie's throat closed. She looked at Grant. He stared back, warning in his eyes. The same look he always gave her. The look that said, remember what happens if you talk. Remember who controls everything. Remember that you have nowhere to go. But this time everyone had seen. This time there were witnesses. This time she'd fallen in public, not in the privacy of their home where no one could hear. Ma'am? Russell waited. Carrie took a breath. The baby kicked, as if to say, go ahead, Mama, tell the truth. This wasn't the first time. Her voice shook. But it's the last. The ambulance ride to Memorial Hospital took 12 minutes. Carrie counted every second. The EMT kept her hand on Carrie's wrist, checking her pulse, her eyes kind. Carrie stared at the ambulance ceiling. Bright white, sterile, safe. Your baby's heartbeat sounds strong. The EMT adjusted the fetal monitor strapped to Carrie's belly. 160. That's good. That's normal. Normal. Carrie almost laughed. Nothing about tonight was normal. Nothing about the last 4 years had been normal. The ambulance doors opened. Cold November air rushed in. The EMTs wheeled her through automatic doors. Bright lights, hospital sounds, beeping machines, rushing footsteps. 29-year-old female, 28 weeks pregnant, head injury, possible domestic violence. The EMT rattled off information to the emergency room doctor. Dr. Susan Marshall looked down at Carrie, 40-something. Tired eyes, but gentle. Hi, Carrie. I'm Dr. Marshall. I'm going to examine you and make sure you and baby are okay. Is that all right? Yes. Carrie's voice came out small. They moved her to a private room, curtains for walls. Dr. Marshall pulled on gloves. I'm going to check your head first. This might hurt a little. Carrie winced as Dr. Marshall's fingers probed the swelling. The doctor said nothing. Just examine. Professional. Thorough. Then Dr. Marshall rolled up Carrie's sleeves, stopped. Carrie, the doctor's voice changed. These bruises on your arms, they're not from tonight, are they? Carrie looked down. Fingerprint bruises, purple and yellow. Some fresh, some fading. 4 on each arm, exactly where Grant grabbed her. No, Carrie whispered. And these? Dr. Marshall gently touched Carrie's ribs. Through the thin hospital gown, more bruises showed. How old are these? I don't know, a week? Maybe 2? Dr. Marshall stepped back. I need to call someone, a social worker. And we need to document this. May I take photographs? Shame burned through Carrie. Everyone would see. Everyone would know. Ma'am, please. She wanted to cover herself, hide, pretend none of this existed. There's no shame in this. Dr. Marshall's voice was firm. None. You didn't cause this. You didn't deserve this. And that baby needs her mother safe. So we're going to document everything. Okay, Carrie nodded. Tears slipped down her cheeks. A camera clicked. Once, twice, a dozen times. Each flash felt like exposure. Like the truth she'd been hiding for so long was finally being dragged into the light. The curtain pulled back. Carrie, a familiar voice. Mom. Carrie dissolved. Her mother, Helen Bennett, rushed to the bedside. Helen was 58, gray hair, nurse's hands, widowed for 10 years. She'd raised Carrie alone, strong, stubborn, and Carrie had been avoiding her calls for months. Baby, oh my baby. Helen took Carrie's hand, saw the bruises. Her face went pale. How long? Mom, please don't. How long has he been hurting you? Carrie couldn't answer. Helen pulled her daughter close, carefully, avoiding the injuries. Carrie sobbed into her mother's shoulder. I'm so sorry. I should have listened to you. You tried to warn me. Shh, we're not doing that now. Helen stroked Carrie's hair. You're here. You're safe. The baby's safe. That's what matters. Officer Russell appeared at the curtain. Mrs. Mitchell, I need to take your statement. Carrie pulled back from her mother, wiped her eyes. Okay. Russell set up a small recorder. Everything you say will be documented. Take your time. Start wherever you want. Where did it start? The first time Grant raised his voice? The first time he grabbed her too hard? The first time he shoved her against a wall and then apologized with roses and promises? We've been married 4 years. Carrie's voice steadied. It started small, yelling, throwing things. Then he started grabbing my arms, pushing me. About 2 years ago, he hit me the first time. Russell wrote quickly. Where did he hit you? Slapped my face. Said I'd made him look stupid at a business dinner. Did you report it? Shame again, hot and heavy. No, he apologized. Bought me jewelry. Said it would never happen again. But it did happen again. Yes, every few months, then every few weeks, then... She touched her swollen face. More often. Did anyone else know? Carrie hesitated. My best friend, Bridget, she suspected, but I kept making excuses. What about tonight? What triggered the assault? We were celebrating our anniversary, 4 years. I said something about the wine, that it was too expensive. He said I was embarrassing him, making him look cheap in front of people who mattered. The memory came back sharp. He told me to shut up. I didn't. I said I was just making conversation. And then she stopped. He hit you. He smashed my head into the table. Russell looked up from his notepad. Mrs. Mitchell, I've been doing this 20 years. I've seen a lot. This is textbook escalating domestic violence. And you're pregnant. That makes this more serious. He's never hurt the baby. Not yet. Russell's voice went hard. But it's only a matter of time. These situations always escalate, always. The curtain moved again. A woman in professional clothes. Clipboard, kind eyes. Hi, Carrie, I'm Monica Chen. I'm a social worker here at the hospital. I'm here to help you figure out your next steps. Next steps. As if Carrie knew what those were. First thing, Monica sat down. Do you have somewhere safe to go tonight? She's coming home with Mommy, Helen said immediately. Mom, he knows where you live. Then we'll figure something else out. Helen's voice allowed no argument. Monica made a note. There's a domestic violence shelter, safe house, they have room, they have counselors, they have legal advocates. I don't need, Carrie started. Yes, you do. This voice came from the doorway. A woman in her 40s, burgundy suit, briefcase, authority in every line of her posture. Mrs. Mitchell, I'm Patricia Morgan, family law attorney. The hospital called me. I don't have money for a lawyer. I do pro bono work for DV cases. Let's talk about what happens next. Patricia pulled up a chair. Your husband was arrested tonight. Domestic violence, assault. He'll be processed. He'll post bail, probably tonight. Within hours, he'll be free. Terror shot through Carrie. He'll come home. Not if we file an emergency restraining order. Right now, tonight. Patricia opened her briefcase. I need you to tell me everything. Every incident, every threat, every time you felt afraid. Carrie looked at her mother, at Officer Russell, at Dr. Marshall who'd stepped back in, at Monica with her clipboard. All these people, strangers, helping her. And suddenly she realized she wasn't alone anymore. The secret was out. Everyone saw. Everyone knew. Okay, Carrie sat up straighter, touched her belly, felt her daughter move. I'll tell you everything. 4 years ago, Caroline Bennett stood in the Westfield Gallery, 25 years old, graphic designer, portfolio under her arm, resume polished, hoping for a freelance connection. She'd been staring at an abstract painting, bold reds and golds, trying to understand what the artist meant, trying to look sophisticated. It's pretentious garbage, isn't it? She turned. A man stood beside her, tall, handsome, expensive suit, easy smile, maybe 30, wedding ring absent. I shouldn't say that out loud. Carrie laughed. I'm supposed to appreciate art. Why? If it doesn't speak to you, it doesn't speak to you. He extended his hand. Grant Mitchell. Caroline Bennett. Carrie. His handshake was firm, confident. His eyes held hers. You're not like the other women here. Or red flag, right there in those 6 words. But Carrie was 25, lonely, fresh out of a bad breakup. And this man looked at her like she mattered. How so, doll? She smiled. You're real, genuine. Everyone else here is performing. He gestured at the gallery crowd. Let me buy you a drink. Real drink, not this champagne nonsense. One drink turned into dinner. Dinner turned into a weekend getaway. A weekend turned into Grant showing up at her apartment with flowers every day. Texts every hour. Attention like she'd never experienced. You're special, Carrie. You don't even know how special you are. Her friends raised eyebrows. Isn't he moving kind of fast? Bridget had asked. He knows what he wants. Carrie defended him. It's just, be careful, okay? But Carrie didn't want to be careful. She wanted to be wanted, and Grant wanted her. Desperately, completely. Or so it seemed. 3 months in, he proposed. Huge diamond, romantic restaurant, down on one knee. I can't imagine my life without you. Marry me. She said yes. Her mother had concerns. Honey, you barely know him. I know enough. I love him. The wedding was 6 months later. Grant planned everything. Let me take care of it. Baby, you just show up and be beautiful. It felt romantic then. Now, in the hospital bed, Carrie saw it differently. Control disguised as care. After the wedding, Grant suggested she quit her job. You're too stressed. It's not good for you. I make enough for both of us. But I love my work. And I love you. I want to take care of you. Isn't that what marriage is about? So she quit, gave up her clients, her portfolio, her income. Let's combine our bank accounts, simplify things. So they did. His money became their money. Except it was always his money. She had to ask permission. Justify purchases. Explain every transaction. Why did you spend $40 at Target? Groceries and cleaning supplies. $40 for that? You're wasteful, Carrie. Her phone needed upgrading. Here, use my plan, better coverage. But the phone came with tracking, with monitoring, with Grant knowing where she was every moment. Her car needed repairs. Too expensive. Use mine, I'll drive yours. Except his car had GPS, and he checked it every day. Friends stopped calling. You're always busy with Grant. He likes us to spend time together. Is that so wrong? Bridget tried one last time. Carrie, this isn't healthy. He's isolating you. You're jealous. I'm worried. Well, don't be. Carrie cut the call short. Now lying in the safe house, Carrie checked her phone. 3 times, lock screen, unlock, lock screen, checking if Grant had somehow found her location. Old habits, fear habits, the safe house was bare, donated furniture, scratched coffee table, walls the color of old oatmeal, 2 bedrooms, shared bathroom, kitchen with mismatched dishes. Nothing here was hers. But then again, nothing anywhere was hers. Helen sat on the donated couch, unpacking the single suitcase Bridget had grabbed from the house. You don't have much. Everything was his. Carrie's voice was flat. The house, the furniture, the clothes, he bought it all, controlled it all. What about your design work, your old files? On his computer, in his cloud. He changed all the passwords after we got married, said it was for security. Patricia Morgan spread papers across the coffee table. Let's talk about the legal reality. You signed a prenuptial agreement. He said everyone does it, that it was standard. Did you have a lawyer review it? Shame burned. No. He said his lawyer wrote it to protect both of us. That's not how it works. Patricia's voice was gentle but firm. His lawyer protected him, not you. According to this prenup, if you divorce, you get nothing. 0. The house is his, the cars are his, even the furniture. So I have nothing. Carrie's voice cracked. He wins. Not quite. Patricia pulled out more papers. Your husband made mistakes, big ones. Helen leaned forward. What kind of mistakes? His business partner, Marcus Webb, came to me 2 days ago. Apparently his sister went through something similar. He's been watching Grant, documenting things. Patricia spread out bank statements, account records. Grant's been hiding assets, offshore accounts, tax fraud, and Marcus has proof. Why would Marcus help me? Because he's done covering for a man who hurts women. Patricia's eyes met Carrie's. He wants to help you, and he wants Grant to face consequences. Carrie stared at the papers. Numbers, accounts, money moving. I don't understand any of this. You don't need to. I do, and what I understand is that your husband has been committing multiple felonies, which gives us leverage. Patricia pulled out one more document. But there's something else. Something worse. Helen took Carrie's hand. Grant hired a private investigator 6 months ago, before you even got pregnant. He's been documenting you, building a case. Patricia's voice hardened. He was planning to file for divorce, take everything, and take custody of the baby before she was even born. The room tilted. What? He installed cameras throughout your house. Living room, bedroom, kitchen, bathroom. Patricia's face showed her disgust. He's been recording you for months. Every conversation, every movement, everything. Carrie's hand went to her mouth. Oh, God. He's been editing the footage, making you look unstable, erratic, preparing to claim you're an unfit mother. Patricia organized the papers into neat stacks. This isn't just abuse, Carrie. This is premeditated, calculated. This is a man who planned to destroy you and take your child. Helen stood abruptly, walked to the window. Her shoulders shook. Mom, I'm going to kill him. Helen's voice was quiet, dead serious. I'm going to actually kill him. No, Carrie stood, walked to her mother, put her arms around her. No, we're going to bury him legally. We're going to make sure everyone sees exactly who he is. She turned to Patricia. What do we do? We fight, Patricia smiled, and we win. The video went viral overnight. 50,000 views by morning, 100,000 by noon, 500,000 by evening. Carrie's face, her pregnant belly, Grant's fist, Derek's perfect punch, all captured in high definition from 3 different angles. But the narrative was shifting. Carrie sat in the safe house, scrolling through comments on her laptop. Each one felt like a punch to the gut. Gold Digger got what she deserved. She probably cheated with that waiter. Pregnant women are crazy. Hormones make them attack their husbands. The waiter assaulted him. Why isn't he in jail? Rich, successful man and he attacked by wife's boyfriend. Classic setup. Helen brought coffee. Stop reading those. I can't. Carrie's voice was hollow. Look at this one. She probably provoked him. We didn't see what happened before the video started. Carrie. Or this, my wife acted crazy during pregnancy too. Poor guy was probably defending himself. Helen took the laptop, closed it. Those people don't know you, don't know what happened. They don't matter. But they do. Carrie's hands shook, and they're everywhere. They're on the news. They're commenting on every article. And Grant, look. She pulled out her phone, showed her mother the local news headline. Tech CEO victim of assault during mental health crisis. Grant Mitchell speaks out about pregnant wife's erratic behavior. The video loaded. Grant's face appeared, bruised jaw, sad eyes, perfectly coached performance. My wife is suffering. Grant's voice trembled. Pregnancy hormones, postpartum psychosis, starting early. I've been trying to get her help, but she refused. And when I tried to calm her down at dinner, she attacked me. That waiter, her. He paused. Her male friend, yeah, he overreacted. Assaulted me to impress her. The reporter's voice was sympathetic. Mr. Mitchell, you're pressing charges? I don't want to. I want my wife to get treatment. I want my child safe, that's all. Carrie threw the phone. It hit the wall, didn't break. He's making me sound insane. Because that's what abusers do. Patricia entered the safe house. She'd let herself in with the code. They Darvo, deny, attack, reverse victims and offender. Classic playbook. It's working. Carrie pulled her knees to her chest, careful of her belly. Everyone believes him. Not everyone. Patricia turned on the television. Look, a different news station. Different story. New evidence emerges in Mitchell assault case. Anonymous source provides documentation of pattern abuse. The screen showed medical records, police reports. 3 other women, different years. All accusing Grant Mitchell of violence. We've reached out to these women. The reporter continued. 2 have agreed to speak on record. They describe a pattern of behavior, love bombing, isolation, escalating violence. A woman's face appeared. 40-something, strong, tired. Grant Mitchell dated my daughter in college. He broke her arm. She was too scared to press charges. He paid her off, made her sign an NDA. Another woman, younger professional. I worked for Grant's company. He cornered me at a business conference. When I rejected him, he grabbed my throat. Security cameras caught it. The footage disappeared. I was let go 2 weeks later. Patricia smiled grimly. Marcus released the information carefully, legally, through channels Grant can't shut down. But Grant's mother, Carrie pointed at the screen. Victoria Mitchell was giving a press conference. My son is a victim of a disturbed woman. Victoria's voice was ice. He trapped him with pregnancy. She's mentally unstable. Everyone who knows Grant knows he's incapable of violence. Your mother-in-law is protecting her son, Patricia said. Expected, but we have something she doesn't know about. What? Her son's journals. Patricia pulled out a folder. Marcus found them in Grant's office. 10 years of entries. Want to know what he wrote about you? Carrie wasn't sure she did, but she nodded. Patricia opened the journal, read aloud. March 10th, Caroline said yes, she's perfect, moldable, no family money, no strong connections. I can shape her into exactly what I need. A wife who knows her place. Carrie's stomach turned. Patricia continued. June 2nd, convince Caroline to quit her job. One less tie to independence. Soon she'll have no choice but to stay. That's when the real training begins. Stop, Carrie's voice broke. There's more, much more. He documented everything. His plans, his intentions, his deliberate isolation of you. Patricia closed the journal. This is premeditated psychological abuse, documented by the abuser himself. How do we use it? In court, as evidence of ongoing manipulation. But Carrie, Patricia's voice softened, you need to prepare yourself. This is going to get worse before it gets better. Grant's going to escalate. He's losing control of the narrative. losing control of you. Men like him don't handle that well. As if on cue, Carrie's phone rang. Unknown number. Don't answer it, Helen warned. Carrie answered anyway. Hello? You've ruined me. Grant's voice. Calm, too calm. My reputation, my business, my life. You've destroyed everything. You did that yourself. I gave you everything, a home, money, status, and this is how you repay me? Carrie's hands shook, but her voice stayed steady. You gave me prison. You gave me fear. You gave me bruises. You think anyone believes you? You think your little attorney and her tricks matter? I have the best lawyers money can buy. I'll get my daughter. And you'll get nothing. We'll see. Yes, we will. His voice dropped, menacing. And Carrie, that baby? She's probably not even mine. Is she? Did you sleep with that waiter? Is that why he defended you? Helen grabbed the phone. My daughter won't be taking your calls. She ended the call, blocked the number. Carrie sat in silence. The room felt too small, too exposed. Even here in a safe house with a code-locked door. Grant's voice still reached her, still made her feel small. I need air. She stood, walked to the small balcony. November cold bit her face. Patricia followed Amon. Carrie, I need to show you something else. It's not easy to see. What now? Patricia pulled up a video on her phone. Security footage. Dark bar 2 nights ago. Grant and 3 men. Drinks. Loud laughter. The audio was clear. That baby probably isn't even mine. Bet she's been screwing that waiter for months. His friends laughed. Once the kid's born, I'm taking it. She'll never see a penny. Watch. I'm going to destroy her, completely. More laughter, glasses clinking. She thinks she's so smart. Going to the police, getting a lawyer, doesn't matter. I own this city, I own the narrative, and soon I'll own our daughter. Patricia stopped the video. This was recorded by Marcus. He sent it anonymously to the DA's office. They're building a criminal case. Criminal? Beyond the restraining order, felony assault, terroristic threats, witness intimidation, he's facing actual prison time. For the first time since the restaurant, Carrie felt something like hope. Small, fragile, but real. He can't buy his way out of this? Not this time. Patricia smiled. This time, the truth is louder than his money. The courtroom smelled like old wood and anxiety. Carrie sat beside Patricia at the plaintiff's table, her hands folded over her belly. 8 months now. The baby heavier, more real, more at stake. Grant sat across the aisle, expensive navy suit, silk tie, clean-shaven. He looked like a CEO. Successful, trustworthy, harmless. His lawyer leaned over, whispered something. Grant nodded, serious, wounded. The performance was flawless. Judge Eleanor Price entered, 56, silver hair pulled back, reading glasses on a chain. She'd seen everything in 20 years on the bench. Her expression gave nothing away. We're here for the restraining order hearing. Mitchell versus Mitchell. Judge Price reviewed her notes. Counselors, present your arguments. Grant's lawyer stood, distinguished, silver-haired, expensive. Your Honor, my client is a victim of domestic manipulation. His pregnant wife, suffering from prenatal depression and possible psychosis, has made false allegations. She's engaged in an affair with another man. That man assaulted my client without provocation. Patricia stood. Your Honor, I have video evidence, multiple witnesses, medical records, and testimony from other victims of Mr. Mitchell's pattern of violence. Objection. Hearsay regarding alleged other victims. Grant's lawyer's voice was smooth. Not hearsay if they're here to testify. Patricia gestured to the back of the courtroom. 3 women sat in the gallery. The college girlfriend, the former employee, another woman Carrie had never seen, all watching Grant. None of them afraid anymore. Judge Price leaned forward. I'll allow testimony, but first, let's see this video. The bailiff set up a screen. The lights dimmed slightly. The restaurant video played, crystal clear, undeniable. Grant's hand gripping Carrie's arm. His face twisted in rage. His words, "You embarrassed me. You always embarrass me. Carrie's head hitting the table. Blood, her hand going to her belly. Protective, terrified. Grant lunging at her again. Derek's intervention. The punch. Grant collapsing. The courtroom was silent. The video ended. Judge Price's expression had changed. Hardened. Mr. Mitchell, that's you in the video? Yes, Your Honor, but... And that's your pregnant wife you're assaulting? Grant's lawyer stood quickly. Your Honor, the video doesn't show what provoked. Provoked? Judge Price removed her glasses. Counselor, are you suggesting there's an acceptable provocation for smashing a pregnant woman's head into a table? No, Your Honor, but context is coming. Patricia stood. Your Honor, I'd like to call Derek Hayes to testify. Derek entered from the hallway. He cleaned up. Button-down shirt, dress pants, still young, still clearly a working-class guy, but dignified. He took the stand, swore his oath. Patricia approached. Mr. Hayes, tell us what you witnessed that night. Derek's voice was clear, steady. I was working my shift, heard the impact, turned around, saw Mrs. Mitchell's head bounce off the table, saw blood, saw her husband standing over her, fists clenched, pregnant belly exposed. She looked terrified. And what did you do? Asked him to step back. He refused, moved toward her again. Aggressively, I positioned myself between them. When he tried to reach past me to grab her again, I stopped him. You punched him. Yes, ma'am, one punch. I'm trained in MMA. I used exactly the force necessary to stop the threat. No more, no less. Grant's lawyer stood for cross-examination. Mr. Hayes, you're a violent man, aren't you? You fight people for sport. I'm trained to stop fights, not start them. That's the difference. You could have simply restrained my client. He outweighs me by 30 pounds. He was enraged, and there was a pregnant woman in danger. I made a judgment call. A violent judgment call. A protective judgment call. Derek's eyes met Grant's, and I'd do it again. Tom Rivera testified next. The restaurant manager, 40 years old, 20 years in the business. I've broken up drunk fights, separated angry customers, but I've never seen someone look that scared. Mrs. Mitchell was terrified of her own husband. Other diners testified, all consistent, all describing Grant's rage, Carrie's fear, the violence. Then Patricia called Carrie. Mrs. Mitchell, tell the court about your marriage. Carrie's voice shook at first, then steadied. She described the courtship, the isolation, the control, the first time Grant hit her. Why didn't you report it? Because he said no one would believe me. He said he had money and connections. He said I had nothing. And he was right, I had nothing. He'd made sure of it. What changed? He did it in public, where people saw, where it couldn't be denied, and I realized, if I didn't leave now, I'd never leave. And my daughter, she'd grow up watching this, learning this was normal, learning this was love. Patricia showed the court the hidden camera evidence, the edited recordings, Grant's journals, his plans to take custody, his 6 months of preparation. Judge Price's face grew darker with each exhibit. Finally, Grant testified, confident, rehearsed. Your Honor, my wife is unwell. I've been trying to help her, get her treatment, but she refuses. And now she's turned this into a circus with the help of that man. He pointed at Derek, her lover. I've never met Derek before that night. Carrie's voice rang out. He's a stranger who did what you should have done, protected someone vulnerable. Judge Price banged her gavel. Mrs. Mitchell, please don't speak out of turn. But her eyes held approval. Grant's lawyer presented character witnesses, business associates, Victoria Mitchell, all testifying that Grant was a good man, generous, kind, incapable of violence. Then Patricia played the bar video, Grant's words, I'm going to destroy her, completely. The character witnesses looked uncomfortable. Victoria's face went pale. Judge Price reviewed her notes. I'm ready to rule. Everyone stood. Based on the evidence presented, video documentation, multiple witness testimony, pattern evidence, and Mr. Mitchell's own recorded statements. Judge Price looked directly at Grant. I'm granting the restraining order. Temporary order becomes permanent. Mr. Mitchell, you are prohibited from contacting Mrs. Mitchell directly or indirectly. You are prohibited from coming within 500 feet of her person. You are prohibited from contacting her family or friends. Grant's face flushed. Your Honor, I'm not finished. Judge Price's voice cut like steel. I'm also ordering supervised visitation only if and when the child is born. And I'm referring this case to the district attorney for criminal prosecution. Mr. Mitchell, your behavior is not just civil, it's criminal, and you will face consequences. The gavel banged. Final. Absolute. Grant stood slowly, his mask slipping. Pure rage showed through. He stared at Carrie, mouthed something. She couldn't hear, but she knew. You'll pay for this. Patricia gripped her arm. Don't react. Let him show everyone who he really is. Grant's lawyer pulled him toward the exit, but Grant shook him off, strode to the barrier, leaned over. That baby isn't even mine, and when I prove it, you'll have nothing. Mr. Mitchell, Judge Price stood. Bailiff, remove him from my courtroom. Two officers approached. Grant finally left, but his presence lingered. Poisonous. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Cameras, microphones, questions shouted from every direction. Patricia spoke. Professional, firm. My client is relieved that the court recognized the truth. She's focused on her health and her daughter's well-being. No further questions. But Grant was speaking to another cluster of reporters. My mentally ill wife has weaponized the legal system, but the truth will come out. Mark my words. Carrie watched him perform, smooth, convincing, and for a moment, doubt crept in. What if people believed him? What if his money and connections really could rewrite reality? Then she felt it. The baby kicked. Hard, insistent, as if to say, I'm here, Mama. I'm real. That's what matters. Carrie put her hand on her belly, looked directly at the cameras. My daughter will grow up knowing her mother chose safety over luxury. That's all I have to say. Patricia guided her to the car. Helen waited in the driver's seat. They pulled away from the courthouse, away from Grant, away from the cameras. You did it. Helen's voice shook with pride. You stood up to him. The hard part's just starting. Patricia checked her phone. The criminal trial is scheduled for 6 months out. The DA wants to build a solid case. 6 months? Carrie touched her belly. I'll have the baby by then. Yes, and Grant will do everything he can to interfere with that. We need to prepare for every possibility. Carrie looked out the window. The city passed by. Normal people living normal lives. Not running from violent husbands. Not pregnant and alone. Not starting over with nothing. She pulled out her phone. Unknown number calling. Again, she answered because she needed to know. You think you won today? Grant's voice, ice cold. You didn't. I'll take everything from you, including her. Carrie's hand tightened on the phone. You'll never touch my daughter. We'll see. She ended the call, blocked the number. Another one would call tomorrow, and the next day. He'd find ways around the restraining order. He'd find ways to terrorize her, but she'd find ways to survive. She had to. Her daughter depended on it. 3 weeks after the restraining order, Carrie sat in the safe house organizing baby clothes. Small sleepers, tiny socks, everything donated. Nothing matching, but clean, soft, smelling like lavender detergent. 2 in the morning. She couldn't sleep. The baby moved constantly now, restless. Or maybe picking up on her mother's anxiety. Each fold was a meditation, each stack a promise. Order from chaos, safety from violence, love that didn't leave bruises. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number? Again. She ignored it. They called every night, different numbers, always blocked, never leaving messages, just letting her know. He could still reach her. Helen appeared in the doorway. You should be sleeping. Can't. Carrie held up a yellow sleeper. What do you think, yellow or white, for coming home from the hospital? Both options are good. Helen sat beside her, started folding. Your father would have loved this, being a grandfather. I know. Carrie's eyes burned. Her father had died 10 years ago. Heart attack. Sudden. He'd never know his granddaughter, never protect her from Grant. He'd be proud of you for leaving. Took me long enough. You left when you were ready. That's what matters. They folded in silence, mother and daughter. In a safe house with locks on the doors and cameras on the street, building a nest for a baby, creating safety from fear. The doorbell rang. Both women froze. "It's 2 in the morning," Helen whispered. Carrie's heart hammered. The restraining order. 500 feet. But what if Grant didn't care? What if he'd finally snapped completely? Helen moved to the window, peeked through the blinds. There's no one there. "Don't open the door." Helen ignored her. Opened the door a crack. Chain still on. Looked down. "Oh, what?" "Box, on the doorstep." They brought it inside. Plain cardboard, no markings, no note. "Should we call the police?" Carrie asked. "Let me open it first." Helen grabbed scissors, cut the tape, opened the flaps. Baby items, expensive ones. Designer clothes, high-end bottles, premium blankets. Everything Grant would buy. Everything that screamed money and control. At the bottom, a card. Carrie recognized the handwriting. Grant's, all caps. "Good mothers don't keep children from their fathers." Carrie's hand shook. "He knows where we are. We're moving tomorrow." Helen pulled out her phone, called Patricia, but the next morning brought worse news. Carrie's mother collapsed in the safe house bathroom. Stroke, stress-induced. The EMT said she was lucky, caught it early, but she needed hospitalization. Recovery time, months of therapy. Carrie sat beside her mother's hospital bed. Helen's face was slack on one side. Her words slurred, but her eyes were sharp, angry. "Not your fault." Helen forced out each word. "It is. The stress of helping me. Moving, hiding. It's too much. Grant's fault." Helen's good hand gripped Carrie's. "Not yours." But guilt ate at Carrie anyway. Everyone who helped her paid a price. Derek had lost his job at Bellissimo. The restaurant owner was friends with Grant. Pressure applied. Derek was let go. Bridget's school received complaints. Anonymous. But everyone knew who made them. Cut. Parents didn't want their children taught by someone associated with that situation. Patricia received threats. Professional complaints filed against her license. Frivolous, but time-consuming. Expensive to defend. And now her mother lying in a hospital bed, half paralyzed, because Carrie had finally said no. Victoria Mitchell appeared in the hospital doorway, impeccable as always, but something in her face had changed. Cracked. "Get out." Carrie's voice was flat. "I need to speak with you. You testified against me. You called me mentally ill. You supported your son. You have nothing to say that I want to hear. Please." Victoria's voice broke. "I need to tell you something." Helen made a small sound, not quite words, but Carrie understood. "Listen." Victoria sat, uninvited. "I found Grant's journals, the ones Marcus gave to your lawyer. I read them. All of them. Congratulations. He wrote about me too, about how he learned from me, how I taught him to manipulate, to control." Victoria's hands trembled. "My husband, Grant's father. He was like Grant, violent and controlling. I stayed for 35 years. I made excuses. I protected him. I became an accomplice." Carrie said nothing. "I raised Grant to be exactly like his father. I modeled submission. I taught him that women exist to serve, to obey, to accept." Tears ran down Victoria's powdered cheeks. "And now, seeing what he's done to you, reading his plans, his contempt, his calculations, I finally see. I created this monster. Why are you telling me this?" "Because I'm done protecting him. I'm testifying for the prosecution. Criminal trial. I'm going to tell them everything, his childhood, his father, the patterns I taught him, everything. That won't undo the damage." "No, but it might prevent the next woman. And the next." Victoria stood. "I can't fix what I've done, but I can stop pretending it didn't happen. I'm so sorry, Carolyn, for everything." She left. Carrie sat in silence. Helen squeezed her hand. One-sided squeeze, weak. But there, Officer Russell appeared next. He'd been checking in regularly. kind, fatherly. Mrs. Mitchell, I need to tell you something. Dread pooled in Carrie's stomach. What? Three other women have come forward regarding Grant. Pattern complaints going back 12 years. College girlfriend, two former employees, all describing the same behavior. Love bombing, isolation, escalation, violence. Mama, why now? Your case going public. They saw someone finally fighting back, finally being believed, and they found courage. Russell sat in the chair Victoria had vacated. The DA is building a comprehensive case. Felony assault, stalking, terroristic threats, witness tampering. If convicted, Grant's looking at significant prison time. He'll never go to prison. He has too much money. Money buys good lawyers, but it doesn't buy jury sympathy. Not when 12 people watch that video of him hitting you. Russell's voice was firm. He's going down, Mrs. Mitchell. Slowly, but surely. After Russell left, Carrie sat with her mother. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and fear. Machines beeped, tracking Helen's recovery, her blood pressure, her heart rate. I'm tired, Mom. Carrie's voice was small. So tired. Helen's good hand moved, pointed to Carrie's belly, the baby. I know, I have to keep going, for her. Carrie touched her stomach. But what if I can't? What if I'm not strong enough? Grant's still out there, still powerful, still connected, and I'm just me, pregnant, broke, scared. Helen's slurred voice forced out words. You are enough. I'm not. Survived, him. That's strength. Carrie broke, finally, completely. She laid her head on her mother's hospital bed and sobbed. All the fear, all the exhaustion, all the what-ifs, everything she'd been holding in for months. Helen stroked her daughter's hair, awkward, left-handed, but there. When Carrie finally stopped crying, she felt empty, wrung out, but also lighter somehow. Okay. She sat up, wiped her face. Okay, I can do this. Helen smiled, lopsided, but real. Carrie's phone rang. Patricia. Turn on the news, Channel 7. Carrie found a television, changed the channel, breaking news. Tech CEO Grant Mitchell under federal investigation. IRS raid on downtown offices. FBI involvement suspected. The screen showed federal agents entering Grant's building. Boxes of files. Computer hard drives. Grant being escorted by his lawyers, his face pale, his confidence cracking. The anchor continued. Sources say the investigation involves offshore tax evasion, money laundering, potentially millions of dollars hidden from federal authorities. Marcus had done it, exactly as he'd promised. The evidence he'd been collecting, given to federal agents. Carefully, legally, devastating. Patricia called back. The board of directors just held an emergency meeting. Grant's been removed as CEO. Company assets frozen pending investigation. His empire is collapsing. Good, Carrie's voice was hard. There's more. The IRS is seizing assets, including the house, the cars, the accounts. Everything he claimed you couldn't touch? It's all getting liquidated to pay back taxes and penalties. So he has nothing now, too. Exactly nothing. Patricia's satisfaction was clear. And the criminal trial? His resources just evaporated. His expensive lawyers? Gone. His political connections? Backing away. He's facing this alone. For the first time in 4 years, Carrie felt something like power. Not over Grant, but over herself. Her own life. Her own choices. She looked at her mother, at the hospital room, at her swollen belly, at the uncertain future. We're going to be okay. She said it out loud, made it real. Mom, the baby, and me, we're going to be okay. Helen nodded, smiled, believed. The contractions started at 3 in the morning. 3 weeks early, right on schedule for a stressed pregnancy. Carrie gasped awake, pain, sharp, real. She reached for her phone, called Bridget. It's time. Bridget arrived in 20 minutes, hair uncombed, sweatpants, keys in hand. How far apart are the contractions? 10 minutes, maybe 8. Another contraction hit. Carrie breathed through it. The baby's coming. Good, let's go meet her. The drive to Memorial Hospital felt surreal. Streetlights blurred past, empty roads, dark skies starting to lighten in the east. November cold pressed against the windows. What if he finds out? Carrie's hand gripped the door handle. What if he comes to the hospital? Officer Russell is meeting us there. Posted outside your room, hospital security has Grant's photo. He's banned from the premises. Bridget's voice was steady, confident. You're safe. But Carrie had stopped believing in safe. Safe was an illusion, a temporary state. Grant always found ways around barriers. They pulled up to the emergency entrance. A wheelchair waited. A nurse smiled. Let's get you upstairs, Mama. Labor and delivery. Room 12, private. Door that locked from inside. Windows that didn't open. Officer Russell in the hallway. Hospital security on alert. Dr. Marshall appeared. Carrie, good to see you. Let's check your progress. 6 centimeters dilated, moving fast. Too fast, the baby eager to escape. Bridget held her hand through contractions. Counted breaths, reminded her to relax. I can't do this, Carrie gasped between pains. What if something happens to me? What if Grant takes her? Bridget, promise me, if something happens, don't let him take her. Nothing is happening to you, Doan. Bridget's voice was fierce. You hear me? Nothing. You're going to meet your daughter, and you're going to raise her. And she's going to be the luckiest kid in the world because her mother is the strongest person I know. I'm not strong. You left him. You testified against him. You're about to push a human out of your body. You're plenty strong. The contractions got closer, harder, longer. 8 hours of labor. Pain that redefined pain. Carrie screamed, cursed Grant, cursed herself, cursed the universe. You're crowning, and Dr. Marshall's voice. Excited, urgent. One more push, Carrie, one more. Carrie pushed, used everything she had, every ounce of strength, every bit of rage, every drop of hope. And then a cry, small, angry, perfect. It's a girl. Dr. Marshall lifted the baby, red, wrinkled, beautiful. Say hello to your daughter. They placed the baby on Carrie's chest, skin to skin, warm, real. Carrie looked down at her daughter. 7 pounds, 2 ounces, 19 inches long, tiny fists, dark hair, eyes scrunched shut against the bright lights. Hi, baby. Carrie's voice broke. I'm your mom. I'm your mom, and I promise you'll never be afraid in your own home. I promise you'll never wonder if you're safe. I promise you'll grow up knowing love doesn't hurt. Sam asanindilam doesn't hurt. The baby's hand found Carrie's finger. Gripped, strong, determined. What's her name? The nurse asked, preparing the birth certificate. Hope. Carrie had decided months ago. Her name is Hope. Hope Mitchell. Hope Bennett. Carrie's voice was firm. Her last name is Bennett, like mine. Bridget cried. Dr. Marshall smiled. The nurse made the note. Hope Bennett, born November 20th, 3 weeks early, but healthy, strong, perfect. They moved to recovery. Carrie tried to nurse. Hope latched immediately, hungry, insistent, taking what she needed. Helen arrived in a wheelchair, still recovering, still weak. But there. Oh, baby. Oh, my grandbaby. Carrie placed Hope in her grandmother's arms, careful, supporting Helen's weak side. She's perfect. Helen's speech was improving, still slow but clearer. Looks like you. She looks like herself. Carrie watched her daughter. Her daughter. The words felt impossible, real and unreal at once. Patricia arrived next, brought legal papers. These need your signature, paternity documentation, stating that Grant Mitchell is the biological father but has no custody rights pending criminal trial. What if he challenges it? Let him. DNA test will prove paternity, but the restraining order stands. The criminal charges stand. He has no rights until a judge says otherwise. Carrie signed the papers, made it official. Hope was hers. Derek sent flowers, tasteful, not overstepping. The card read, "Congratulations, wishing you both safety and happiness." Officer Russell stopped by, brought a stuffed bear. My daughters picked it out, said every baby needs a teddy bear. The nurses were kind, protective. They'd all seen the news. All knew who Carrie was, who Grant was. They guarded her room, let no one in without checking. That night, Carrie held Hope, just the two of them. Bridget had gone home. Helen was back at her recovery facility. The hospital room was quiet, dim, safe. You and me, baby girl, Carrie whispered. We're going to figure this out. I don't have money, don't have a house, don't have much of anything. But I have love, so much love, and that's going to have to be enough. Hope slept, peaceful, trusting, completely dependent on this broken woman to keep her safe. The responsibility felt crushing and also clarifying. Carrie had a purpose now, someone depending on her, someone who needed her to be strong. She could do this. She would do this. Her phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Congratulations on the baby. Our baby. I'll be seeing her soon. Grant, always Grant, finding ways around blocks, around barriers, around the law. Carrie deleted the text, blocked the number, saved a screenshot for Patricia. Then she turned off her phone, shut out the world, just for tonight, just for these few hours. It would be her and Hope. Nothing else mattered. The next morning brought complications. Hospital administrator, nervous. Mrs. Bennett, there's been a situation. Mr. Mitchell filed an emergency custody motion last night, claiming the baby is in danger, claiming you are mentally unfit. Terror shot through Carrie. Can he do that? He can file anything, but Judge Price is reviewing from chambers. She's watching via video call right to me now. A laptop appeared, Judge Price's face on the screen. Behind her, a law library. She was working from home. Sunday morning, interrupted for this emergency. Mrs. Bennett, Judge Price's voice was steel. I've reviewed Mr. Mitchell's filing. I've also reviewed the video Mr. Mitchell posted last night to social media, where he appeared intoxicated, ranting about his rights as a father, threatening to take the baby by force. Carrie's hands shook. Mr. Mitchell's motion is denied, emphatically denied. He's violated the restraining order through electronic contact. He's made terroristic threats, and he's demonstrated exactly why he should have no access to this child. Judge Price leaned forward. Mrs. Bennett, you and your daughter are safe. I'm adding additional restrictions to the restraining order. No social media posts about the child, no contact through third parties, no attempts to locate you or the baby. Thank you, Your Honor. Don't thank me. This is basic human decency, which your ex-husband seems incapable of. Judge Price's expression softened. Congratulations on your daughter. Be well. The screen went dark. Carrie looked down at Hope, sleeping peacefully, unaware of the war being waged over her tiny body. It's okay, baby. Carrie kissed her daughter's forehead. Mama's got you, always. Officer Russell appeared in the doorway. Mrs. Bennett, we have a problem. Carrie's heart sank. What now? Grant Mitchell is in the hospital, emergency room. He showed up demanding to see his daughter. Security stopped him. He got violent. They had to restrain him. He's being arrested right now for violating the restraining order. He's here? Panic clawed at Carrie. In this building? Being taken into custody as we speak. Handcuffs, police transport. He won't get near you. Russell's voice was calm. But we're moving you to a different floor, different room number, just as a precaution. They moved fast. Wheelchair. Hope in a hospital bassinet. Down the service elevator. To a wing usually reserved for high-risk patients. Security cameras, locked doors, badge access only. New room, same view of the parking lot, but different numbers, different floor. Hidden. Through the window, Carrie saw Grant, being led to a police car, handcuffed, struggling, shouting something she couldn't hear. She watched him driven away, watched the car disappear. He'll never stop. She said it out loud, made it real. He'll never accept that he lost. Maybe not. Patricia had arrived during the move. But he's losing anyway. Criminal trial starts in 6 months. With this violation, his bail is getting revoked. He'll sit in jail until trial. Good. Carrie's voice was flat, empty of emotion. Just done. She turned away from the window, back to hope, back to what mattered. Her daughter, small, helpless. Depending on her, Carrie could do this. She would do this. Because Hope deserved a mother who fought, who survived, who chose her over everything else. Okay, baby girl. Carrie lifted Hope, held her close. Let's go home. 6 months passed in a blur. Hope grew, 5 months old, smiling, laughing, starting to reach for things. Bright eyes that tracked movement. Carrie's eyes, but also her own person, her own spirit. Carrie lived in a small apartment now, 2 bedrooms, not the safe house, something more permanent. Rent paid partially by victim services, partially by her new freelance design work, building her portfolio again. One client at a time, Helen recovered, slowly. Physical therapy 3 times a week, speech therapy twice. She could walk now, talk clearly, almost back to herself. I'm getting better, Helen insisted, moving Hope's toys across the living room floor. For this one, Hope babbled, grabbed her grandmother's finger, held tight. The criminal trial began on a Monday in May, courthouse steps packed with reporters, cameras, microphones. The case had stayed in the news. Grant Mitchell, millionaire, abuser, the man who thought he was above the law. Carrie dressed carefully, navy blue dress, not too expensive, not too cheap, modest, respectable. Everything Grant had tried to make her, but this time on her own terms. Patricia met her at the courthouse entrance. Ready? No, but let's do it anyway. The courtroom was packed, gallery full, press in the back rows. Grant sat at the defense table, orange jumpsuit. His bail had been revoked after the hospital incident. 6 months in county jail. He looked thinner, harder. The polish was gone, but his eyes, when he looked at Carrie, pure hatred, pure promise. This isn't over. The prosecution called witnesses. Officer Russell, Derek, Tom Rivera, Dr. Marshall. Each one describing what they'd seen, what they'd documented, what they knew. The restaurant video played again, on a big screen, for the jury. 12 people, 8 women, 4 men, ages ranging from 20s to 60s. They watched. Some flinched. Some looked angry. All looked disturbed. Then it was Carrie's turn. She walked to the witness stand, swore her oath, sat down, faced the jury. The prosecutor was a woman, 40-something, experienced, kind eyes but hard voice. Mrs. Bennett, tell us about your marriage to Grant Mitchell. Carrie told her story, all of it, the courtship, the isolation, the control, the first hit, the escalation, the pregnancy, the final assault. She spoke for an hour, maybe more. No one interrupted. The jury took notes, watched her, believed her. Grant's lawyer cross-examined. Older man, expensive suit, public defender, actually. Grant's money was gone, frozen, seized. He couldn't afford his usual team. Mrs. Bennett, you admit you stayed with Mr. Mitchell for years. You never reported the abuse. You accepted his money, his gifts, his lifestyle. The lawyer's tone suggested something ugly. I stayed because I was trapped. Financially, emotionally, psychologically. I stayed because I was scared. And yes, I used his money. Because he made where I had no other options. You could have gotten it, Joe. I tried. He sabotaged every interview, called my potential employers, told them I was unstable. You have proof of this? Yes. Patricia stood, presented phone records, emails, testimony from 3 companies Carrie had interviewed with, all contacted by Grant, all mysteriously declining to hire her. The lawyer tried a different angle. The night of the restaurant incident, you'd been drinking. 1 glass of wine, approved by my doctor. You argued with Mr. Mitchell. He criticized me. I defended myself. That's not an argument. That's called having a conversation. You provoked him. I existed. Apparently that was provocation enough. Some jurors nodded. Others wrote notes. The lawyer sat down. He'd lost that exchange. The prosecution called Derek. He testified again. Calm, clear, professional. Did you know Mrs. Bennett before that night? No, ma'am. Had you ever met her? Never. So the defense's suggestion that you were involved romantically is false? Completely false. I was a witness, that's all. But you risked your job, your reputation, your physical safety. Why? Derek looked at the jury. Because someone had to. Because a pregnant woman was being assaulted. And because standing by and doing nothing would make me as guilty as him. The courtroom was silent. Other survivors testified. The college girlfriend, now 40, successful lawyer. Grant broke my arm. Told everyone I fell. Paid me $20,000 to keep quiet. I was 20 years old. I didn't know better. The former employee, 35, marketing director now. He cornered me at a conference, put his hands around my throat. Security footage existed. It disappeared. I was fired 2 weeks later. Non-disclosure agreement. $25,000. I needed the money. Another woman, someone Carrie had never met. Grant dated my sister. She died 5 years ago. Suicide, but I always wondered. The bruises, the fear, the way she changed. He killed her spirit long before she killed herself. Each woman, each story, each piece of a pattern spanning 12 years. The prosecution presented Grant's journals, read excerpts. Caroline is perfect, easily controlled, no support system worth mentioning. I can mold her into exactly what I need. The jury looked disgusted. Financial records showed the hidden cameras, the private investigator, the offshore accounts, the tax evasion, the money laundering. Victoria Mitchell testified, Grant's own mother. I raised my son to believe women were property. I stayed with his father through 35 years of abuse. I taught Grant that this was normal, that this was love. I am responsible for creating the man he became. Grant's face twisted. Rage, betrayal, his own mother turning against him. Marcus Webb testified about the business fraud, the hidden accounts, the deliberate destruction of evidence. Grant threatened me when I questioned him, told me my sister had it coming. That's when I decided to help Mrs. Bennett. The defense presented its case. Character witnesses, fewer than before. Grant's charm had limits when faced with video evidence and multiple accusers. His defense was simple. Deny, minimize, claim mental illness, claim stress, claim anything but responsibility. Grant testified, confident, rehearsed. I loved my wife. I provided for her. I tried to help her when she became unstable during pregnancy. That night at the restaurant, she attacked me. I was defending myself. Mr. Mitchell, the prosecutor stood for cross. The video shows you hitting her, not the other way around. The video doesn't show what happened before. What happened before that justified smashing a pregnant woman's head into a table? She said. She criticized me in public. So criticism justifies violence? No, that's not what I meant. Mr. Mitchell, you've been recorded saying you planned to take the baby, destroy your wife, quote, make her pay, unquote. Do you deny saying those things? I was drunk, venting, I didn't mean it. You violated the restraining order multiple times, sent threatening messages, showed up at the hospital, tempted to take your infant daughter by force. Do you deny these actions? I have rights as a father. You have no rights when you're a danger to your child. Grant's composure cracked. That baby is mine, my property. My wife is my property. I built everything. I controlled everything. And she has no right to take what's mine. The courtroom erupted. The judge banged his gavel. Order in this court. But the damage was done. Grant had revealed himself completely, finally. The prosecutor smiled. No further questions. Closing arguments came next. The prosecutor's was powerful. Evidence-based, emotional. Grant Mitchell is a man who believed he owned his wife, who believed money could buy anything, including the right to hurt people. The evidence is overwhelming. The video is undeniable. The pattern is clear. Grant Mitchell is guilty, and it's time he faced consequences. The defense's closing was weak, desperate, reasonable doubt, stress, misunderstanding, mental illness. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. They returned with a verdict. Everyone stood. Carrie held her breath. Patricia gripped her hand. On the count of felony assault, we find the defendant guilty. Grant's face went white. On the count of terroristic threats, we find the defendant guilty. His lawyer touched his arm. Grant shook him off. On the count of stalking, we find the defendant guilty. Grant's hands formed fists. On the count of witness intimidation, we find the defendant guilty. The judge read the full verdict. Guilty on all counts. Sentencing would come later. But the prosecutor asked for immediate remand. Your Honor, the defendant has shown he's a flight risk and a danger to others. We request he remain in custody. Granted, the judge banged his gavel. Mr. Mitchell, you will remain in custody pending sentencing. Grant exploded. This is bullshit. That woman destroyed me. That bitch destroyed everything. Mr. Mitchell, the judge's voice cut like ice. One more word and I'll add contempt charges. Guards moved in, handcuffed Grant, led him away. He turned, looked at Carrie, mouthed something. She couldn't hear, but she knew. This isn't over. But it was. Finally, actually over. Carrie walked out of the courthouse. A reporter surrounded her. Patricia spoke. Justice has been served today. My client is relieved and grateful. She's focused on raising her daughter in safety and peace. That's all. But one reporter pushed through. Mrs. Bennett, how do you feel? Carrie stopped, looked at the camera, thought about what to say. All the things she could say, all the anger, all the pain. My daughter will grow up knowing her mother chose safety over luxury. That's all that matters. She walked away, Patricia beside her, Helen waiting at the car, Hope in her car seat, babbling, reaching for her mother. Carrie lifted her daughter, held her tight. It's over, baby. Mama's okay. We're okay. Hope grabbed her mother's face, smiled, completely trusting. And for the first time in 4 years, Carrie believed it. They were okay. They would be okay. Hope's first birthday party was small, intimate, the apartment too cramped for many guests, but filled with love. Bridget hung streamers, pink and gold. Not too much. We're going for tasteful, not tacky. It's a 1-year-old's birthday. Tacky as expected. Helen arranged cupcakes on a plate. Her speech almost completely recovered. Her strength back. She looked younger, happier. Derek arrived with a gift, a stuffed giraffe. Wasn't sure what to get. My niece liked giraffes at that age. It's perfect. Carrie took the giraffe, showed Hope. Look, baby, a giraffe. Hope grabbed it, gummed the ear, delighted. Derek had become a friend, real friend. No ulterior motives, no romantic interest, just someone who'd been there at the worst moment, who'd stood up when it mattered. He was managing a different restaurant now. Better pay, better hours, still training at the MMA gym. Got a fight next month, local competition, nothing big. That's wonderful, Carrie meant it. Patricia arrived, brought legal documents, always working. Final divorce decree, signed by the judge. You're officially Caroline Bennett again. I never changed my name, Carrie pointed out. True, but now it's official. You're legally divorced. He has no claim on you, no claim on Hope. The restraining order is permanent. What about him? How long? Sentencing was last month, 3 years in prison, 5 years probation after, mandatory anger management, mandatory therapy, and he has to pay restitution to all his victims, you included. I don't want his money. Take it anyway. Use it for hope, for therapy, for whatever you need. Make something good from something horrible. Officer Russell and his wife stopped on by, brought a children's book. My youngest just outgrew this. Hope might like it in a year or two. Thank you for everything. Russell had checked in regularly, brought his own daughters to play with Hope a few times, giving Carrie a sense of safety, of community, of people who cared. The small apartment filled with laughter, with conversation, with people who'd shown up when it mattered. Hope sat in her high chair, cupcakes smashed across her face, hands covered in pink frosting, grinning. completely happy. Carrie looked around at these people, her people, not wealthy, not powerful, but present, real. Bridget proposed a toast. To Carrie, who is the strongest, bravest, most stubborn person I know, and to Hope, who has no idea how lucky she is to have you as a mother. To Carrie and Hope, everyone raised their drinks. Water, juice, one beer for Derek, nothing fancy. Later, after guests left, Carrie sat in the rocking chair, Hope in her lap, the baby's eyes drooping, fighting sleep, losing the battle. 1 year old, Carrie whispered. 1 year since you came into the world. 1 year since everything changed. Hope's eyes closed, her breathing evened, peaceful. I don't know what I'm doing half the time, Carrie continued. I'm figuring this out as I go, but I promise you'll always be safe, always be loved, always know you're wanted. Her phone buzzed, email notification, from the women's shelter where she'd stayed. Caroline, we'd love to have you speak at our support group. Your story could help others. She'd been thinking about it, going back, not as a victim seeking shelter, but as a survivor offering hope. What do you think, baby girl? Should mama help other women? Carrie touched Hope's soft hair. Should I tell them it's possible to leave, to survive, to rebuild? Hope slept, content, safe. Okay, I'll do it. Carrie typed a response. I'd be honored. The next week, Carrie stood in front of 12 women. Just varied. Situations varied, but the fear was the same. The shame was the same. The question was the same. How do I leave? How do I survive? Carrie took a breath. I'm not going to tell you it's easy. It's not. It's terrifying. You'll lose things. Maybe everything. But here's what I learned. You can rebuild. You can start over. You can create a life that's yours. A woman in the back raised her hand, 30-something. Bruises barely covered by makeup. But how do you stop being scared? I'm scared all the time. I'm still scared sometimes, Carrie admitted. I check locks twice. I look over my shoulder. I worry, but the fear doesn't control me anymore. I control it. What if he finds me? Then you have a plan, safety plan, support system, legal protections. You don't face him alone. Carrie gestured to Patricia, who sat in the corner. There are people who will help. Free lawyers, advocates, counselors. You just have to reach out. Another woman spoke. Older, maybe 50. I've been with him 30 years. I have nothing, no guau, no money, no skills. I thought the same thing. Carrie's voice softened. But you have survival skills. You've survived abuse. That takes more strength than any job. You can build from that strength. What about your daughter? Does she know about her father? Not yet. She's only one. Someday I'll tell her, age-appropriate truth, but I'll also tell her about the people who helped us, the community we built, the life we created. Carrie smiled. She won't remember the fear. She'll only know safety. The women asked more questions. Carrie answered, honest, raw, not sugarcoating, but also hopeful. After the meeting, several women approached, thanked her, asked for advice, shared their stories. One woman lingered, young, maybe 25, pregnant. I'm scared to leave, but I'm more scared to stay because of this. She touched her belly. I don't want my baby growing up like I did, watching my mom get hit, thinking that's normal. Carrie remembered that feeling the moment she'd realized. Her daughter was watching, learning, absorbing. Then leave, not for you, for your baby. That's the strongest reason there is. What if I fail? You won't. You'll stumble. You'll struggle. But you won't fail because every day you keep that baby safe is a success. The woman nodded, tears in her eyes. Thank you for showing me it's possible. Carrie drove home, Hope in her car seat, babbling nonsense. Happy. You know what, baby? Carrie glanced in the rearview mirror. Helping those women, telling our story. That felt right, purposeful. Hope kicked her feet, shrieked with joy at nothing in particular. Carrie's phone rang. Unknown number. Her heart still jumped. Old reflex, old fear. She answered carefully. Hello? Mrs. Bennett, this is Channel 7 News. We're doing a follow-up story on domestic violence awareness. Would you be willing to share your experience? Can I think about it? Of course, no pressure, but your story. It resonated with a lot of people. It could help others recognize the signs. Get help sooner. Carrie considered going public, fully public. Not just testifying in court, but speaking openly, deliberately, using her experience to educate. Let me talk to my lawyer and my therapist. I'll get back to you. She discussed it with Patricia, with her counselor, with Helen, with Bridget. Everyone said the same thing. It's your choice, your story. You get to decide how to tell it. She decided to do it. One interview, honest, raw, but controlled, her terms, her narrative. The interview aired 2 weeks later. Carrie sat on the couch, watched herself on television, talking about the abuse, the fear, the escape, the rebuilding. People ask me if I regret staying as long as I did. TV Carrie said, I regret the pain, but I don't regret the lessons. I learned what I'm capable of. I learned who shows up when it matters. I learned that starting over is terrifying and possible and sometimes necessary. The interviewer leaned forward. What would you say to women watching this who might be in similar situations? I'd say, you're not crazy. You're not overreacting. If you feel afraid in your own home, that's not love. That's abuse. And there are people who will help you leave. You just have to ask. The interview ended with resources, hotlines, shelters, legal aid, therapy services. Carrie's phone exploded. Texts, emails, messages from strangers. Most supportive, some critical, a few threatening. But one message stood out, from a woman named Sarah. I watched your interview. I left my husband today, took my 2 kids. We're at a shelter. I'm terrified. But I did it. Thank you for showing me it was possible. Carrie read that message 3 times, cried. Not from sadness, from purpose. She'd turned her pain into something useful. Her survival into someone else's hope. That night, tucking Hope into her crib, Carrie felt peace, real peace. Not absence of fear, but presence of purpose. Good night, baby girl. She kissed Hope's forehead. Mama loves you, more than anything. Hope's eyes fluttered. Already mostly asleep, safe, loved, home. Carrie left the door open, nightlight glowing, monitor on. She could hear Hope's breathing, steady, peaceful. She sat on her couch, opened her laptop, started designing again. Freelance work, logo for a small business. Nothing glamorous, but hers, built on her own talent, her own effort. The apartment was small, the furniture was secondhand, the life was modest, but it was hers, completely, entirely, hers. And that was enough. 18 months after Hope's birth, Carrie stood in the kitchen of the Bellissimo restaurant, the same restaurant where everything had changed. Tom Rivera had called her. I want to do something, an anniversary event, raising awareness about domestic violence. Would you consider coming back? She'd been terrified. The thought of walking into that dining room, seeing that table, remembering, but she'd said yes, because hiding from the past didn't heal it. Facing it did. The restaurant looked different in daylight, during setup, before the dinner service. Tom had reserved the entire space for tonight. Private event, fundraiser for the local women's shelter. Caroline, Tom approached. Older, grayer. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for asking. I've thought about that night every day since. Wondered if I could have done something sooner. Intervened sooner. Tom's voice was heavy with regret. You did intervene. You called 911. You testified. That mattered. I stood frozen for too long. You're human. Freeze is a normal response to violence. Carrie touched his arm. But now you're doing something proactive. This event, it matters. Derek entered through the back. Now the general manager. Promoted 6 months ago. Hey, Caroline, Hope with your mom tonight? Yes, Helen's thrilled to babysit. Thinks Hope needs more grandmother time. Smart kid, knows how to work the system. Derek grinned. Can I get you anything? Water, coffee? I'm okay, just taking it in. She walked to the dining room. The tables were set, white tablecloths, candles, flowers, beautiful, elegant. In there, that table, the one where Grant had hit her, where she'd bled, where everything had shattered. It looked normal, just a table, clean white cloth, sparkling glasses, fresh flowers. But Carrie saw the blood, felt the impact, remembered the fear. You okay? Patricia appeared beside her, wearing burgundy again. Always burgundy, her power color. I don't know, this table, it's just a table, but it's also everything. Want to sit somewhere else tonight? We can rearrange? No. Carrie straightened. No, I want to sit here. I want to take this space back. Make it mean something different. The guests arrived. Survivors, advocates, donors, media, about 60 people, all here to support the cause. Bridget arrived with Helen, Hope toddling between them, 18 months old, walking now. Talking a little. Mama, Nana, juice. No, her favorite words. You said no babysitter. Carrie laughed, took Hope, hugged her tight. She wanted to see you. Helen smiled. So we compromised. We'll stay for the speeches. Leave before dinner. The program began. Tom spoke about the restaurant's commitment to training staff on domestic violence recognition. Derek spoke about bystander intervention. Patricia spoke about legal rights, resources, the process of leaving. Then it was Carrie's turn. She stood at the microphone, Hope on her hip, the baby playing with her necklace. 18 months ago, I sat at that table, she pointed, right there with my husband, celebrating our anniversary. I was 7 months pregnant, scared, controlled, trapped. The room was silent. My husband hit me that night, in front of all these witnesses, and for the first time I couldn't hide it, couldn't excuse it, couldn't pretend it was my fault. Hope babbled, broke the tension. People laughed softly. This little girl, she's why I left. She's why I testified. She's why I'm standing here tonight. Carrie kissed Hope's head. Because she deserves to grow up knowing love doesn't hurt. She told her story. Not all of it, just enough. The isolation, the fear, the moment she decided to leave. People ask how I found the courage to leave. I didn't. I found the courage to stay gone. That's the harder part. Resisting the apologies, the promises, the threats, believing I deserved better even when I didn't feel like I did. A woman in the audience wiped tears. Several others nodded. If you're in an abusive relationship, if you're scared in your own home, if you're making excuses for bruises, please reach out, talk to someone. There are people who will help. I know because they helped me. She gestured to Patricia, to Officer Russell who'd attended, to Derek, to the shelter director. These strangers became my lifeline. And now I'm trying to be that lifeline for someone else. She finished her speech, handed Hope to Helen, sat down. The dinner continued. Carrie sat at that table, but this time surrounded by friends, by supporters, by people who'd shown up. A woman approached, 30-something, nervous. Mrs. Bennett, can I talk to you? Of course, and it's Caroline. Caroline, I watched your interview. I've been following your story, and I left my husband last month because of you, because you showed me it was possible. How are you doing? Terrified, broke, living with my sister, but alive, safe, and my kids, they're smiling again. I didn't realize they'd stop smiling until they started again. Carrie hugged her, this stranger, this survivor. You're so brave. So are you. We both are. The evening wound down. Donations exceeded the goal. The shelter would have funding for another year. More beds, more counselors, more resources. Tom pulled Carrie aside before she left. I want you to know, we've implemented new policies. Staff training on domestic violence. Code words customers can use if they need help. Partnership with local police. Because of you. Because of what happened here. We're trying to make sure it doesn't happen again. That means everything. Carrie's voice caught. Thank you. She drove home. Hope asleep in the car seat. Helen beside her. The city lights blurred past. You did good tonight, baby, Helen said softly. Your father would have been so proud. I wish he could have met Hope. He knows her. Wherever he is, he knows her, and he knows you, and he's proud. The apartment felt like home now. Not temporary, not a safe house. Home. Carrie's design business was growing. Steady clients, decent income, not wealthy, but stable. She'd started taking classes, finishing her degree, online, slow, but progressing. Hope's room was painted yellow, filled with toys, books, a rocking chair where Carrie read stories every night. That night, after Hope was asleep, Carrie sat on her balcony. Small balcony, city view, not beautiful, but hers. Her phone buzzed. Email from the producer who'd interviewed her. Caroline, we're doing a follow-up segment. 1 year later, would you participate? She'd said yes to so many things lately. Speeches, interviews, support groups, using her story to help others, but also taking care of herself. Therapy twice a month, mom's group once a week, date nights with herself, reading, painting, rediscovering who she was beyond victim, beyond survivor, just Caroline. She typed a response. I'd love to, let's set it up. The follow-up interview aired a month later. Carrie and Hope at the park, playing normal life. What's different now? The interviewer asked. Everything. Carrie pushed Hope on the swing. The baby shrieked with joy. I'm not looking over my shoulder constantly. I'm not checking my phone every 5 minutes. I'm not afraid to make decisions. Do you ever hear from your ex-husband? No, he's still in prison, 2 more years. And when he gets out, the restraining order is permanent. He has no legal access to Hope. How do you feel about that? Relieved, sad for Hope that she won't have a father, but safer, and safety matters more than a father who would hurt her mother. What would you say to your younger self, the woman who was trapped? Carrie stopped pushing the swing. Thought. I'd say, the prison door's unlocked. You've been your own warden. Walk out. It's scary. It's hard. But you're stronger than you think. And you deserve better than this. The interview ended with Carrie and Hope, walking hand in hand toward the future. 6 months later, Carrie stood in front of her design class. Online university, final presentation, bachelor's degree, finally. My project is a visual campaign for domestic violence awareness. And she shared her screen, showed her designs, posters, social media graphics, website mock-ups. I used my own experience as inspiration, but created something universal, something that speaks to anyone who's felt trapped, anyone who's found courage, anyone who's rebuilt. Her professor smiled. Excellent work, Carolyn. You've turned personal pain into powerful advocacy. She graduated with honors. Hope toddled across the stage in a tiny cap and gown. Photo op, Helen cried. Bridget cheered. Patricia brought flowers. What's next? Bridget asked at the celebration dinner. I'm not sure. Maybe more advocacy work. Maybe full-time design. Maybe, I don't know, living. Carrie laughed. I've spent so long in crisis mode, survival mode. I think I just want to live normally, boringly, happily. You've earned boring. Patricia raised her glass. To boring happiness. To boring happiness. Everyone clinked glasses. Hope smashed her sippy cup against the table. Happy! Happy! They all laughed. That night, tucking Hope into bed, Carrie reflected on the journey. 2 years since the restaurant. 2 years since everything changed. She'd lost so much. The house, the money, the security of financial stability, the illusion of perfect marriage. But she'd gained more. Her voice, her autonomy, her daughter's safety, real friends, purpose, peace. You know what, baby girl? Carrie brushed Hope's hair. I used to think I needed money to be happy. A big house, expensive things. But I was miserable in that mansion. And I'm happy in our small apartment. Because this place has something that place never did. What, Mama? Hope's eyes were closing. Love. Real love. The kind that doesn't hurt. Love you, Mama. Love you more, baby. Always and forever. Hope's breathing evened, asleep. Carrie sat in the rocking chair, watched her daughter sleep, thought about the future. She'd been invited to speak at a national conference, domestic violence prevention, sharing her story with hundreds of people. She'd said yes. She'd been contacted by a publisher, interested in her story, a book, maybe. She was considering it. She'd been asked to join the board of the women's shelter, giving back, making decisions, using her experience to help shape policy. So many opportunities because she'd survived, because she'd spoken up, because she'd refused to stay silent. But mostly, she was just a mom, raising her daughter, working her own, living her life, small, quiet, happy. The sound of Hope's laughter echoed through their small apartment. Not the dining room of Bellissimo, not the courthouse, not the television studio, just home. Their home, safe, warm, full of love. And that was everything. If Caroline's story resonated with you, do me a favor, hit that like button. Not for the algorithm, but because every like tells another woman watching in secret that she's not alone, that someone understands. Drop a comment. Tell me what part of this story hit you hardest. Was it the moment Derek stepped in? The courtroom scene? Hope's first birthday? Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Share this video with someone who needs it. Not publicly if that's not safe, but privately. A text, a message. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is reach out and subscribe. Because Caroline's story isn't unique. There are thousands more. Stories of survival, stories of strength, stories of women who refuse to stay broken. I'm telling them all, one by one, until no one has to face this alone. Remember, you're not crazy. You're not overreacting. If you feel afraid in your own home, that's not love. That's a prison, and the door's unlocked. Resources are in the description below. Hotlines, shelters, legal aid, all free, confidential, waiting for your call. Thank you for listening to Caroline's story, to Hope's story, and maybe to your own. Until next time, stay safe, stay strong, and remember, you deserve better than this.